Are free plugins actually free? Well, if you factor in the time it takes to evaluate them, I'd argue nothing in life is free. Well, I'm going to take the hit for you. I've got 3 free plugins I found on Plugin Boutique. I'm going to test each one using a single real use case scenario and decide if it's something I want to keep or toss out. It's that simple. I'm the Lonely Rocker. Let's get started. All right, let's take a look at the first one. We've got a limiter from Kilohearts. Now, they've got this snap-in platform. I think you can combine their plugins in different ways, but we can use it just as a standard plugin, and that's how I'm using it today. By the way, the reason I'm doing this, a couple of the plugins here are potential to replace plugins that I have from another plugin company, which I won't mention, but who insist on charging license fees on plugins that I already paid for. And in most cases, I'm not getting anything new. So you know what? Fuck that. I'm not paying for something I already paid for. But anyways, I'm looking for a couple plugins to replace those, and this one is one of those potentials. Now, what can I say? It's a limiter. You use a limiter just to tame some peaks that are sort of getting a little too crazy, or the way I like to use a limiter often is when you want to create the perceived loudness of a track without it getting louder. So you sort of set that ceiling, and then you can bring sort of everything up to it. A brick wall limiter will basically set a hard ceiling and everything will crush up against it, and some of them are a little bit more forgiving. In this case, there's an output gain, so which I would use as sort of compensation. That's the only way I would really use an output gain on a plugin like this. So I've got an example here where I'm using this plugin on a snare drum. This is a common case. I've got this track that I've been working on, and everything sounds great, but the snare drum's getting a little lost, and I think a limiter will do the trick. So let's see if limiter snap-in is up to the task.
Limiter Snap-in is a compact yet resizable limiter plugin with built-in tooltips that keep you in the know. The threshold determines the maximum volume, the release determines how quickly the volume is returned to normal, and you can drive your signal with the input gain and then compensate for any volume differences with the output gain. It only ships with 2 presets, but you can save your own or try your luck with the randomizer.
So what do I think of the Kilohearts Limiter? Well, stick around to find out. By the way, there's an affiliate link in the description to Plugin Boutique. If you're in the market to buy a plugin and you click on that link, it doesn't cost you anymore, but it kicks a little bit back to the studio, helps me make more content. Plugin Boutique is not a sponsor of this video. They have no influence or say. In fact, I don't even think they know I'm making this video, but I just wanted to mention if you wanted to help out the channel. All right, next up on the list is Blindfold EQ from Audio Thang. Now, the thing about this EQ is that it doesn't show you the frequencies other than the 4 main groupings of frequencies. If you turn the dial here, it doesn't actually show you what you're changing. It's forcing you to use your ear. Now, that term mixing with your eyes, it's something that I've talked about here on my channel. This is where we're using visual feedback to adjust things where really we should be using our ears. So the concept here is you know what? We're not going to show you what the frequencies are. We'll give you sort of the 4 main bands, and you can work within that and use your ears to come up with something great. All right, I'm up to the task. I'm going to use this plugin on a guitar bus. There's certain things that I do to get my guitar sounding right and getting them to fit into the mix. So let's see if Blindfold EQ will get me there blindly.
Blindfold EQ is a 4-band EQ with a master output. You have an adjustable low shelf, adjustable low and high mid bands with Q adjustments, and an adjustable high shelf. All bands can be turned on or off, and you have soft clipping and analog buttons. But the idea behind Blindfold EQ is no frequencies noted on the dials. You're forced to use your ears to obtain your desired results.
So, Blindfold EQ, am I going to keep it around or toss it out? Well, we got one more plugin to check out, and then I'll let you know. So since guitar is my main instrument, I'm always in the need for a good flanger, and I've got Blue Cat's Flanger here. So what interests me about this plugin is that it claims to have some good vintage flange effects. You know, since I'm into kind of classic rock, progressive rock, I love those vintage flange sounds also, but there's some interesting stereo things that you can do with this plugin. So let's walk through it, look at some of the features, and again, I'm going to put this on guitars as well because, well, that's where I'd use a flanger.
Blue Cat's Flanger delivers a myriad of flange effects. The plugin ships with a bunch of presets, which is always a bonus. You have a gain knob at the input stage, 7 knobs to customize your flange effects, like standard delay, depth, and rate settings, a spread knob to create some nice stereo effects, plus further customizations with the dry mix knob, feed forward, and feedback. As with other Blue Cat plugins, it's fully skinnable.
So the question remains, are any of these plugins going to stick around, or are we going to send them all packing? Let's start with the Blue Cat Flanger. Now, what can I say? It's a flanger. It does what it's supposed to do. And to be honest, as a free plugin, it's not giving me anything less than that other plugin that I paid for and might have to pay for again. So I see no reason why I wouldn't continue to use this plugin. I love the stereo features. You can create some interesting sweeping effects, and you can change the shape of the wave here. I mean, it's a flanger. The one I have on my board only has one dial on it and an on and off. So I'm getting a lot more control with this plugin. So 100%, I will definitely continue to use this flanger plugin. All right, Blindfold EQ. What are the chances this one's going to stick around? Well, I like how it sounds, and I like the concept. You know, the whole idea of training our ears and forcing ourselves to use the most important tool that we have. But then I think about, you know, being in the heat of battle with a project that's got 40, 50, 60 tracks, and I'm just looking to get, you know, everything to work together. I mean, I use spectrum analyzers and meters, and I use multi-band EQs, and often, especially when I get to the latter stages of a mix, I'm looking to sort of find places for things, carve things, and get things to work together. Like guitars, for example. I know I got a lop off at 90, I got a lop off at 10K, and I just want to go and do it. I don't want to fumble around. I just think I'm not going to have time to guess. Like, well, while in theory, I like the concept, there's just no way I'm going to be fumbling around with this thing, you know, throughout my projects. It's just going to take too long. It's going to frustrate me. And while I do think it sounds good, I don't think there's any chance in hell I'm going to reach for this when I'm going crazy in the middle of a project. So unfortunately, we got to show Blindfold EQ the door. And lastly, I've got the Kilohearts Limiter. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wanted to hate this plugin because one of the things I talked about at the beginning is free, really free. And the verification process for this plugin was more than the other ones. I had to go through a whole, give them my email and verifying the whole thing. And I get it. They're giving us something for free. All they're asking for in return is an email. So, but that's not completely free. There was time involved, and now I'm going to hear from them. And I just wanted to hate this plugin. But you know what? It's a limiter, and it does its job. You know, the one that I'm using from that other company worked a little differently. So it just took me a second. I mean, there's only 4 knobs on this thing. But once I figured it out, you know what? It does its job. I mean, what it did for the snare drum is exactly what I need the limiter to do. It's lightweight, and it's free. What else can I say? So you know what? The Kilohearts Limiter, I'm going to keep it around.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Well, there you have 3 free plugins from Plugin Boutique. Remember, there's a link in the description for my affiliate program. It doesn't cost you anything, but if you're in the market to buy any plugin, there's always sales going on at Plugin Boutique. Little kicks back to the studio here, helps out the channel, and I really appreciate it. Do you have any of these plugins? Would love your thoughts on that. And if you think what I have to say is just pure garbage, well, you can tell me that too. I mean, who am I? I'm just some guy with a microphone. Hey, you want to check out a great channel strip plugin? Well, I've got a video right here. If you want to support this channel, I am on Patreon and I have affiliate links. I'll put that information in the description. It all kicks back to the channel to help me create more content just for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And most importantly, thanks for hanging out with me. And I look forward to seeing you again in another video.